Good afternoon. Welcome to the Windsor Star News Cafe. I'm Julian, in the house with entertainment writer Ted Shaw, and we will be discussing Bookfest Windsor that's coming up this weekend. It's actually already on. It started yesterday, Thursday. It continues to Sunday, October 26th. And tomorrow, Saturday night, there is a very, very special event happening. It's a tribute, and literary and musical tribute to much-loved local professor, author, Alistair McLeod, and here to talk about stories of their father are his sons, Kenneth MacLeod, to my left, local musician Kenneth MacLeod, and to my far left we have author Alexander McLeod. And before we begin the interview, Kenneth will be performing a piece written for his father called No Great Mischief, Jake.
Sure, I'll give that.
All right.
Notes here. There's a bit of
Thank you.
the first part.
Sounds good.
Yeah. That was written by. That was written by.
That was written
whom?
by an old friend of my father's.
Sorry, here we go.
That tune was written by a friend of mine and a friend of my father's, great Cape Breton composer who went to school with my dad, Sandy McIntyre.
Good. And that will form part of the so-called Ceilidh on Saturday night at 8 o'clock.
As far as I understand it, there's going to be a panel meeting. It's in the Capitol Theatre Saturday night, and myself and my sister Marion, who plays the piano, will be playing some music that my dad liked and some traditional Cape Breton music, and also there'll be a discussion. Alexander's going to read, and Nino Ricci and some other performers will be there to talk about his legacy.
Alexander, what will you be reading? Will you be reading pieces from Alistair's
I don't know. Our original plan was that the people who knew Dad in a professional light would choose some of their favorite passages, and then when people from our family said things, we would just speak a little bit about our dad as the guy we knew. But I might have one little paragraph from The Road to Rankin's Point, one of my favorite stories that kind of fits in. There's a reflection in that story about families and music. So there's a little section in there that fits kind of the tone of what is happening on Saturday night.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Julian, you have a personal memory of Alistair. He taught you, and maybe you could talk to the two McLeods here about their connections with that.
Okay, so I'd say about 12, 13 years ago, I was taking English at the University of Windsor. I was taking a romanticism class, and your father was my professor, one of my favorite classes in the world, and he would prance around the classroom, no lie, prance around the room talking about Prometheus and waxing Prometheus. And if any of you are familiar with Greek mythology, Prometheus, he was the man he stole fire from Olympus, right?
And then he had another bad section after that.
Yeah. So Alistair would prance around the room, and he's the reason I fell in love with Frankenstein. Mary Shelley's novel Frankenstein. Everyone thinks it's a story about a monster, and it's not. It's about a creation. Dr. Frankenstein created this, what people think was a monster, and actually he was just lonely. He wanted to be human. And it was a very touching story, and your father's the reason I fell in love with that story. I loved that class. And I didn't do very well on one of the papers I wrote, and I asked him if I could rewrite it, and he gave me the opportunity to rewrite it to raise my grade. So there's another wonderful memory.
You have memories of
Let's hear some memories.
Frankenstein yourself.
Well, that's what I'm actually going to be talking about Dad's work as a teacher. That's the little thing that I've prepared. And that actual lecture, when we were both kids growing up, like that particular one, the Frankenstein, like people would say, he's doing Frankenstein on Thursday at 10 o'clock. And there would be just the normal students in the class, and then people would also come to see the Frankenstein bit because the Frankenstein lecture was so loved, and he loved Mary Shelley. He loved Mary Shelley for lots of reasons. That she managed to that this this young woman was able to make up all these ideas. Like if you look around right now, it's just Mary Shelley's idea.
That's right.
In 2014 being recycled 1,000 different ways. But Dad was very keen on giving Mary Shelley the credit for this spark, literally the spark, the idea of the reanimation. Yeah.
He was such an animated professor, your dad. Mary Shelley, Lord Byron, he loved
Byron.
these authors. Byron.
Yeah.
Byron fan.
Kenneth, obviously music was a key part of your youth and growing up. Tell us a little bit about that and how your dad inspired you.
He was a lover of music. I've heard that he used to play guitar out on Port Hood Island. I fully believe that. And his father, my dad's father, was actually a fiddle player. And but just growing up my whole life, I always played the fiddle and was encouraged by my mother and my father. My sister and I have been playing together since we were children and playing original music. But we grew up playing a lot of traditional fiddle music. I was taught in Cape Breton by a great friend of my parents, John McDougall was his name. And he played at my parents' wedding and he used to come over to our place and teach me to play and my brother Lewis to play the fiddle. And he just had a deep love for music, love for the arts, really, without a hint of pretension in him. He loved music. He loved dancing to music. He loved reading. He loved, like you say, he loved dancing in the classroom. He liked performing, in a very natural way, with no attachment. It felt very natural for us to always to do that. It was kind of part of our growing up.
This event on Saturday has been subtitled the Ceilidh, which is basically a Scottish word or a Gaelic word for party or house party. Tell us a little bit about what Ceilidhs were like in the McLeod household. Were there Christmases full of music and family celebrations?
Yes.
Imagine weddings.
Yes, listeners, we have had parties at our house.
I've heard.
But no, well, we've always had open doors at our house. We have six kids in our family, all of whom are pretty sociable types. And we've always had, for the last, I don't know how many years, big New Year's party, big Ceilidh at my parents' place with musicians of all ages, from literally from 90 to four, singing their little piece and playing. And I think that's what's going to happen. The idea of this event, which Sarah Jarvis helped to coordinate, is just to have people talk and remember the good influence he was on all of us. And then my sister and I are going to also play some music that we all enjoyed, and also sing a couple of songs that were put together by the Mulgrave Road. It was a theater co-op. He worked with a theater group. This was back in the 70s and 80s. They wrote music to his, wrote songs, like pulling material from the book and from the play that they put on. And he loved that stuff. And we learned to sing those songs from the play when we were kids, and we still sing it, so it was I think it's just going to be a kind of a discussion, and a lot of his friends. I know Nino Ricci was a close friend of his, and Nino's going to be there, and a lot of people that his publisher Douglas Gibson will be there, and
will there be a Q&A period at this tribute? Because I imagine a lot of his former students will be there. They'll want to share many stories with you. Will people be able to get up?
I know that the idea of it is not so much of course it's a kind of tribute, but it's a celebration. Like it's positive. It's like you remembering the Prometheus-bound dad. It's going to be a positive celebration for sure. I think it's just really important. It's really important for us, for me, to see this chance for all the people in Windsor that he touched in all these different ways to come together and share a happy thing, like a happy memory, a happy.
Yeah, I think his work is so heavy. Like the emotional weight of the work is really kind of overwhelming. But as a person, he was the lightest
guy,
most friendly guy you'd ever meet. You know him forever, and he was just he was a friendly person, you know, and a community person. He loved working at the university. He loved being around Windsor. He really did.
He loved Bookfest.
He loved Bookfest. It wasn't a job for him, you know. It was a pleasure, and I think that's what we want to, you know, celebrate.
I think a lot of
his
people
good
in
nature.
Bookfest think of him as Saint Alistair.
But the thing
He's the patron saint of Bookfest.
But the thing about Dad that's like, this is just different. Like, Dad attended, like, probably every Bookfest event. Didn't matter who was doing the reading, didn't matter if he had a deep connection to the person, didn't matter if it was a former student, he was there. If he didn't know the person, he was there because he believed in a festival of the book. He believed in that as a kind of community endeavor. And so he would just sit there in the back row and he would just participate in it. And I think that there's so many people out there who are so pretentious, like it's all about me, but it's never about me with Dad. He listened to more readings than he gave, and he gave a lot. So
the first book festival, the very first one.
Yeah.
Our friend Dan Wells was helping with it, you know, with the thing. I remember Jane Urquhart was there, and then Sal Alla got up and read from his poems about his father when he was a straight razor, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's the first Biblioasis book.
I sat there and I said, "Oh my God, that was a great reading. I love that book. I bought the book, you know." And my dad said, "Oh, I taught Sal." I taught him. Yes, good student. I taught Sal. He's a great guy, you know. But he just, you know, he was like, I taught him. You know. It would be a good book, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I have a personal memory of one particular book fest that I was moderating a panel, and I was so stressed out about it. You could see it on my face. I passed your dad in the hall, and he looked at me and he says, "Ted, everything's good. Everything's good." Patted me on the back. And boy, was that...
You will survive.
Yes,
You will
exactly.
survive.
Encouraging.
Yeah. But he could tell
Yeah.
that I was really
Yeah.
concerned, and, you know, he just gave me a little helping hand. I imagine he was a wonderful father. I mean,
Well, he was. My sister and I were joking. We used to play over in Detroit a lot, still do, at the Gaelic League over on Michigan Avenue. And we'd come home one night playing the fiddle and square dancing, but we were never, like, I wasn't forced to do it. We wanted to do it. Like, other people were like, "Oh, that would be the worst. You had to go out with your parents and go square dancing and play the fiddle." What could be worse? You know? We were having a great time, and we just get home, driving home. My mom would be driving home. And from Detroit, and I would say, "Are you satisfied, like, with what you did tonight? Are you satisfied with, like, how you played?" But it was a real question. You're like, it's like, it was good, but like, are you satisfied with what you did? And it's kind of a representative of the way he was a bit, you know, just like he wants you to be satisfied with what you did. If you worked hard and you did well, he was encouraging that way, you know.
So there's 6 children in the family. Were all of you born in Windsor? Or were some of you born in Cape Breton? Because I know...
2 of us were born in Cape Breton.
Okay.
The first and the last. Alexander was born in Cape Breton,
Okay.
and our youngest brother, Andrew, was also born in Cape Breton.
Interesting, because his writing is so greatly influenced by Cape Breton. I've never been there, but I can visualize it in my head just from his stories.
Yeah. Well, he grew up in Cape Breton, and then went away to work after he finished high school. He was a miner and a logger, and he did a lot of
Milkman.
And a milkman, yeah. He drove a team of horses, a milk truck in Edmonton, and you know, he funded his education kind of by working that way, and then but I think it always stayed with him, and we lived there when we were kids. You know, lived out in Cape Breton, went to school there, and we're in at our farm, at the farm where my dad grew up. You know, so it's a big part of our life. My mom grew up on a farm 3 miles down the road from my dad, so they kind of grew up knowing each other, and then they got married. And when my dad got a job in Windsor, they moved to Windsor when he got a job here. So, and we were always kind of back
Stories
and
like
forth.
that.
We were always back and forth through to whenever he had time. Our family would just pick us all up, and we'd all move back to Cape Breton. Went back to school there in high school and in elementary school. We went when he had an opportunity for a sabbatical. We would all
Nice.
would get us back there. So we.
Did you look forward to those summers?
Oh yeah, yeah, we did. It was. I would really feel like a dual citizen, you know, and he Dad facilitated that in all of us, that we wouldn't just be from Windsor, and our parents were from Cape Breton, and we didn't know anybody there. We're still from there also, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My brother just bought a place down there. Alexander has a place out there near our family farm. And yeah, it's something that he cultivated to make sure that we're all still part of the community there and here. And it worked, you know. We're grown up, relatively, socially grown up, and yeah, it's a great place that he loved there, but he loved Windsor too. He was never someone who complained about Windsor or whatever. He loved it here, and he said so all the time. Yeah.
Alexander, I wonder, lightlifting, of course, is your very famous and acclaimed collection. Tell me about a follow-up, or is there one? What have you done so far?
I have two stories. I wrote two. But it's just been for all of us, a very busy period, and we had not a normal year last year. So I don't think anything advanced too far in any of our lives last year, and we're only kind of coming back to getting our feet underneath us now this fall. Mm-hmm. So I'm eager to get back to work, but like Dad, I lead a busy life, and kids and teaching and all that stuff. So when I get to it, I try to do as well as I can on it. So I only have two news stories, but
are you the perfectionist your father was?
I don't know. I just try to fumble through in my own way and figure it out as I go. I feel like I'm starting to find out some things that work better than other things, but mm-hmm. But so hopefully in the next year I'll get more work done.
I'm sure one of the proudest moments in his life was when Lightlifting came out, and you were appearing here in Windsor and reading, and you could just see it in his face and in your mom's face, the pride in her son.
It was a weird moment, actually. I'm so grateful for it now, because Dad and I got to go on so many strange adventures. We went on so many strange adventures in the last 3 years that we would never have gone on otherwise, and we got to spend so much time together, again, always in weird places. Mm-hmm. So I'm really grateful that happened. It was just a weird coincidence, but we had so many good, like intense, not intense, like not intense, like heavy and important times, but just on the road a lot, and that was very special. It's very special for us. And you know, as I said many times, like if I wasn't related to Dad and I had not benefited personally from all the actual, you know, physical and emotional and intellectual care he poured into me, if I had no connection to that person at all, I would still feel that the work he did as a person in the community in Windsor, and the work he did on the page were like just unassailable. Like you just, it's just I think this is a chance to pay real tribute to somebody who really did give his life, so much of his life force and his energy to all of us, not just us. Like we obviously are the primary beneficiaries of it, but a ton. There's thousands of students. And everywhere you go, like it's hilarious to be very, very far away. Sometimes I was up in the Highlands of Scotland a year ago, and this person came up with a story that'd be the same as a grade school student, that Dad had gone to a high school in Morar, or like,
you're kidding.
It wasn't Morar, it was in Inverness. It was like, is your father that guy? I was like, yeah. And they had stories, like exact same stories all over the world. And that's just because nothing ever changed Dad. Dad was always exactly the same. So that's a real person who's secure and solid in themselves, that is not shifting in the wind.
Wore the same jacket.
He wore
the same hat. I love his hat. Yes.
45 years.
You would like to see the Christmas presents we open up. You have he'd be wearing a shirt and open that shirt. This will do.
Can you, Kenneth? Can you play us out?
Sure.
Another little fiddle tune, perhaps, that your dad loved. And
Sure, I'll give that a
this has been terrific, this reminiscing, and I'm sure Saturday is just a small
This-
hint
yes.
of what we can expect on Saturday.
Yes. All right. Here's the old jig from Scotland. All right. Rosebush jig. Oh, where did I put it?
Witty banter.
Getting close. Witty banter.
Insert witty banter.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today. This was a real treat.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming in.
Remember, that's Saturday at the Capitol Theatre. This Saturday, tomorrow, today's Friday. At 8 o'clock, there's a book signing, and then the actual tribute, I think, begins around 8:30, 8:45.
Yep.
So gather together for music, good times, conversation. I'm sure all 6 of the clan members and, of course, Mum will be there, and you can talk to them. And we can talk much about your mother, but my God, to
I'm sure she's got interesting stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll be there.
Yeah.
And baby Alistair.
Little Alistair.
Oh, is that right?
Little Alistair will be there. Yeah.
How old's little Alistair?
Almost 2.
is that your son?
No,
No,
it's my brother
the
Daniel.
Dan's son.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna come in too. His little redheaded Alistair will be there, and his brother Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't underestimate Joe. He's impressive. Anyway, and I think our family does want to, give a great thanks to Bookfest Windsor
absolutely.
for doing this, because it means a lot. It means a lot to us as a group that the city's cultural organization would want to do this for Dad. It means a lot to us, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.